From the first reading, in those days, some from Antioch and Iconium arrived and won over the crowds. They stoned Paul and dragged him out of the city, supposing he was dead. Definitely not a good way to start your day. And yet, well, we'll get to that in a moment. This past Lenten season, in one of the parishes that I was giving a 3-night retreat in, and I think I had mentioned this before, that my schedule can be so crazy sometimes that I try to pack a lot of things into a day. And so if I know I need to pick up some toothpaste or whatever, I will, on night one of the retreat, wherever I may be, I'll see if there is a drugstore or a strip mall around. And then on the second night, I can arrive a bit early and get some errands done and then go off to the second night of the retreat. So in one of the parishes, one of the towns, I did just that. On Monday, I noticed that indeed there was a strip mall on the way to the church. And on that second night, going back for night two, I stopped off to get a few errands done. In fact, it was toothpaste that I needed. So I got to the strip mall. There were 5 or 6 stores in line. The very last one that I needed to get to was at the end of the strip. And it was the drugstore that I needed to go into. And so I had to, because I could only find a parking space here, I needed to walk by the 5 or 6 stores. I really wasn't looking at all at any of the stores, except when I got to maybe the it probably was the third one, there was a very large sign in the window of the store. It was so big that it caught your eye, wondering if the store was going out of business. It wasn't, but the sign, the very large sign in the window of the store said, "Huge kids sale." Well, I don't know whether I misread it, misunderstood it, or if it was a very poorly written sign. Huge kids sale. I remember saying to myself, gee, what's a huge kid? You know, I pictured 9 feet kids walking around looking for a clothing store. Certainly they would not be related to me or anyone in my family. Huge kids. And I realized then that it was poorly written in one way, because what they were really saying was there was a huge sale on kids' clothes. But the way it was presented, it looked like huge kids' sale. It was a huge kids' sale. It was not a very well-written sign. The readings that the Lord asks us to ponder this day are truly about signs. That first reading from the Acts of the Apostles, once again, we are privy to the everyday wanderings of those who, in the early days of our church, were presented with presenting the risen Lord to the world. Today, we look at some of the adventures of Paul and Barnabas. And the reading begins with that line that I've already shared with you, that Paul was stoned, dragged out of the city, and left for dead. But his colleagues found him and brought him back, in all likelihood praying over him. And he would have gone back and he would have preached again, because already, even in the early days of our church, those apostles, those disciples, those presbyters that were assigned to these local communities knew that they were meant to be signs, and that it would be part of their task to teach these newly formed Christian communities that they too needed to be signs. Signs of belief in Jesus Christ, signs of the gifts of Jesus Christ, primarily the gift that was so important that it's become a part of our liturgy. We mention it whenever we pray the Mass. Jesus reminding us that he indeed was a sign of the Father's peace. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. Not as the world gives peace do I give it to you, but in a way that only I can give. My friends, the gospel this day, and we will notice this over the next few days, the Gospels, as we get ready for the end of the Easter season, as we get ready to look at next week's Feast of the Ascension, and then following Pentecost, we will see a bit of a turn. Jesus is getting ready to leave his disciples physically, letting them know that he will never leave them completely, but the Spirit will manifest his presence in a different way. In a way that's meant to be seen. Peace. We live in peace when we remember that Jesus is always there with us. We live in peace when we realize that we face nothing alone, that no matter what challenge that you might be facing right now, no matter what you might be struggling with right now, you're not facing it alone. You're not looking at it all by yourself. He is there with you at all times to give you the peace of mind that will. Whenever I hear that, what I think of, I leave you peace, my peace I give you, not the same kind of world, the peace that the world offers, not the same kind of peace. I think what Jesus offers us is the peace of mind that lets us sleep at night. The peace of mind that can fill us with confidence and resiliency. The peace of mind that will remind us that he will give us the grace that we need to face this situation. He will give us the peace of mind that we need to get through this challenge. Today, my friends, you and I are reminded that we are meant to be signs of his peace. And when people see us calmly facing our problems, when people see us looking for the best part of each and every day, looking for his light and sharing his light, we become signs of his presence. For in fact, he has never left us. He's always there, watching over us, giving us the strength that we need to face anything. Anything.